About to hop in a meeting with a close friend of mine, and I had dinner with him last night at my other friend's birthday, Jeremy, and he spoke about how he was running his business, and I saw things within his operation that I resonated with, that I could apply into my new venture, Rath, which is the rebrand of Barbell Crew, and there are key overlaps within all disciplines that I've witnessed that I've wanted to apply into, or want to apply into Rath as a business, and building out things, front loading the work in order to make things streamlined, and obviously the ambitions of Rath extend beyond a local type business, and we want it to be a global and a large entity. So we're already aiming at the stars in terms of the scope of the project, and of the business, obviously. So in order to do that, you have to operate a as a large business, right? Like, your mindset needs to be like, this is going to be a big thing, and it needs to be organized as such, and systems should be in place versus kind of band-aiding things on implementation along the way. The more you can front load those things, the more streamlined things will be when you're integrating and scaling new elements into the project. And another thing that stood out, and goes back on the experiences that I've already had, has been the ability to solve problems, and there are fires every turn that you take when operating a business. And I've experienced that with many things that I've done in the past, where it be trading, where it be Hazard Hunters, which is also e-commerce, and it's a whole different beast if you compare it to Rath. There's dynamics that are changing despite the actual nature of business, which is selling clothing. And excuse me. And if I'm not haven't mentioned already, the military as well. And the problem solving skills at the highest level, meaning that, like, for the military with like special forces, for business owners it would be like, not only just being a business owner, but a successful one that can scale and be competitive amongst the peers within the niche. And powerlifting, where you need to figure out your own body, and when you go hard enough, you're going to figure out that the thresholds that you reach can be excelled upon if you make the right decisions and are able not to quit, right? And I think that's the main important one as well, and like your desperation level on wanting it bad enough, right? I did see a video online, I can't remember who it was. It was just some Asian dude, and I think it was the wrong message. I understand what he was trying to say. He was saying that, like, the gym is easy, and for majority of people it is, right? Wait until you reach like the pinnacle of human performance, and then trying to go beyond that, and then say it's easy. There's so much risk involved, where you can hurt yourself, you can injure yourself, and it's very easy to say, I will just go easy and maintain what I have, which I have done for a very long time, right? But in learning more about me, I can go into training and increase my parameters over a longer period of time as I get older. Obviously, you can't take on more risk physically, or you just put yourself out forever. But it does take a toll when you're, going in, and there is fear involved of, am I going to hurt myself? And if that is easy, then fuck. It must be easy for everybody, and everyone should be strong as fuck or the best every time they step into that arena. And relating this back to the military, and when you see, there's a specific example when you see the special forces guys operate, the guys in selection operate, it's one of the hardest things that you can do, where it's like physical training when you're under sleep deprivation, hunger, haven't been fed for days, and you're physically exhausted day after day after day. And the crazy thing is during the selection within Australian Special Forces, is that you have a card on you at all times that is going to get you off the course. Like, you can drop out whenever, you can quit, right? And when I see that, I can understand why it would be very tempting for people to grab that when they're at a certain level of discomfort that they can't handle anymore, and they get out. But the ones who make it through are the ones that can solve those issues under those stressful situations, and the cream of the crop starts to rise, right? And the people who don't fit that mold drop off. And that goes for anything. It goes for the business route, where people might be in over their heads and they don't understand the variables that they're operating with, and they end up in a situation where they need to stop, where be it they miscalculated the capital expenditure and the actual inflow of capital isn't high enough, or they don't know how to project those trends over a long enough period of time, and they pretty much are financially putting themselves at a disadvantage due to opportunity costs when they could have put their eggs in another basket, right? And it's okay to cut your losses when a situation is trending in the wrong direction, and you can and you can forecast that, and there's opportunity elsewhere. But that's how dynamic things are, right? As long as you don't quit at what your objective is ultimately, right? And only you know this, and you know this within you. So this call is more going to be on, I guess, mentality, I guess, business philosophy, but also the operational side of things. So the unsexy stuff, right? Like, it's not the cool marketing, video camera stuff, but it's things that genuinely interest me, as I come from an engineering background. So that takes it back even to another thing. Like, engineering is there's a lot of suffering involved, because you're just like doing so many fucking hours back to back days. So that's a whole another basket of fish. But the systematic nature of deconstructing something from start to finish, or when you're fixing something else like that is already established, you analyze the whole thing and then you reconstruct it backwards, so then you can find the pinpoint where it needs to be fixed. So that's what this conversation is going to be about, and it's a bit more complex than, maybe it's not as complex as I make it out to be, but that's the premise. And afterwards I might have a small meal. I had a banh mi for breakfast, and I might have another like half, and then hit the gym, and I'll record some of that as well. But we'll make do with what we have today. Hopefully CapCut can X out all of the fucking extra noise, but pretty much the takeaway here is I'll speak about some fundamental things that I think about when I'm actually just before I even touch the bar, right? So let's deload this to 60 kilos, 20 kilo each side. All right, how we're gonna start this off is talk about my setup in terms of what I'm wearing, right? Ignore the external things such as the pants and the top. what we want to think about are the things that are going to be directly contributing to the actual lift itself. And that's the base that you're standing on. Hopefully I can cancel this music out. But the base that I'm standing on, my shoes. Right, what's wrong with my fucking shoes? Any pair of shoes is gonna have a sole that is around yay thick, right? That means you're that much further away from the ground, and also increasing the range of motion, and also there is dampening from the sole of the shoe. When you push towards the ground, there's going to be a direct force that's applied back. If there's a dampening or a spring in between, that will absorb some of that force distribution or redistribution into your body, right? So you want to take the shoes off first. I see a lot of people wear shoes. It's either you wear shoes or you have deadlifting slippers. That's the first thing. The next piece of apparel that I have underneath, and this will vary from person to person depending on your belt configuration, right? I have my suit underneath. I always wear a suit underneath all of my clothing because when I put my belt on, the belt is going to apply pressure. Again, any pressure you apply against the belt is going to apply back inside internally. And you want your spine to be completely safe from any sort of flexion, especially in the lower region, so the lumbar spine. And that's why I have those layers underneath. If I feel like it's a bit too tight, I will take a shirt off. If I feel like it's a bit too loose, I'll add layers on so that this compression around this area, the pressure, is extremely high or optimal for myself. This will take some tinkering around with, but the feeling that you want to obtain once you start picking up the belt, it's almost as if once the weight is hit or loaded up from your midsection, it automatically flies up. It takes zero effort whatsoever. So that is the prime takeaway from that. At the moment, it's a little bit tight. I think I've just eaten and drank a little bit much. I'm talking to the camera. It's super tight, but it's okay. I will put this on and just show you how fucking tight it is. I'll show you how tight I am. All right, here we go. That is so tight and too tight. Look how fucking tight that is. So I'm gonna need to take off some of these layers in order to wear my belt properly. I'm gonna take off my shirt first. See how this feels? Might take some tinkering around, and this is what I do most sessions and why you see me wear different things. Sometimes hoodie, sometimes no hoodie. In between, just trying to figure out what is going to feel best. And sometimes I do have a very good setup. I usually wear black trackies that are thinner. When I've eaten and I'm wearing fucking 480 GSM trackies, it's a little bit tight around the waist. But that small change of taking a singlet off has made my belt exactly the way that I need it to be, right? And I might switch this up if it gets too hot. And depending on what you've got, if you're starting the lift from the bottom and you're fucking wearing wrist wraps, it does make sense to do the technique of pulling the bar up a little bit. And the reason behind that, and I'm sure people are gonna ask me, even though I've fucking put videos on it before, is what you're trying to do is you're finding the strap catch on the bar. So when you're pushing your hips forward, what happens is you're not using any force whatsoever other than leverage. So you push your hips forward and the bar will catch on the strap at some particular moment, right? And when you thrust yourself into the lift from the bottom, you can apply all or the peak amount of force that is possible to that particular point. If that is varying or something that you are unaware of in terms of information, your groove might be misgrooved, and compounding over time, the consistency is just a bit worse, right? From my experience at the moment. In terms of the foot placement, everyone has a different type of foot placement. It depends on the equipment as well. Generally what I find with stiffer equipment is a bit of a wider foot placement works a little bit better. When the bar is a bit bendier, I prefer a little bit of a closer foot placement, and I bring my knees out just that much more. Same goes with their hands. Find the groove that you work best in depending on the equipment that you're using. element, add them on. All right, another element I like to add when I'm pulling, maybe on 1 or 2 of the sets, is a dynamic force or dynamic weight. In this circumstance, I'm using chains. I prefer using chains, but you can use bands if you like. I prefer chains. I like the tactile feel of it. I like the sound of it. It's not only physically beneficial, it's mentally stimulating as well. And if you can positively impact any of those factors, do it. Mental is so much to do with it. If it helps you push it through, and also add that, you know, adjustment to your power band, then by all means. Knock it out on now. Hold on. I was going to need to stop there. My lat's no good on that. Let the mind. We're probably going to need to move on to fucking regular movement. That is no good on the lat. So generally, when I'm reacclimatizing myself from the very beginning, I like working with volume. And what you're going to find here is they're associated with strengthening, which will strengthen parts of my deadlift that, you know, otherwise would be weaker if I didn't do these things. And obviously with the type of deadlift that I do, with the rounded thoracic, it requires like a lot of upper back strength, right? And this helps me get that stability. We'll start with 1 plate, see how it feels. But we'll end up moving up to the 3.5 to 4 plate range, and on that last set it will be, you know, 10-12 reps and drop setting it all the way down to 1 plate to failure. I like to get a deep stretch at the bottom all the way down, and then up all the way down. I don't use straps or belts when doing my accessory movements. Maybe that's why my forearms have decent amount of strength still. So yeah, let's give it a go. 8 reps. Couple of these up. Oh, that's better. That's heavy. I'm fucking weak today. Go on. That's heavy. Keep going down. Keep going. Fuck.
I'm fucking dead off that. Warm up again. With the positioning, I generally put my shoulders back in the area which I want to fill out the trap area. If it's hunched over, promoting that poor posture. So when I pull my shoulders back, aiming to contract the peak of that area. Also gives you good posture as well. This is generally what good posture feels like. Shoulders back, shoulders down. Take it slow, no need to. You can feel a lot heavier than this, I think. Add on another plate. Oh, that's good. Hey. Steady. Steady. One more set of that. Last one, I'll do a drop set. Alright, Bob, pretty good. Fuck, light. Let's do 20 in this one. Oh. Alright, that's enough of that. Another rowing exercise, probably cable. I usually reserve days for actual lat for the next accessory session over, which I might cover in next session. The same principles. I work with the lighter weight, but I want to slow it down and get the contraction nice and deep. Like so. Get that full stretch. Nice. Just like that. And I like to stretch it out like that. Brace my core. The different ways you can do this, you can play the shoulders, the elbows out. Again, tucked in, and I want those elbows tucked in. I can feel it just above my lower erectors. Nice and compressed. Got that, bud. The contraction, elbows in. Too good. Breathe. Oh. That was a rubbish day for it. Oh, this is light. Cool. Maybe the music will add to the experience. Cool. Good set. I can tell that 22.5 is getting a little bit heavy for me. And I was sick last week too. So, my max is actually the 16 repper with 30 kilo per hand. So this is just an indication of how I'm feeling today. No excuses, try to push through it. We got the capacity. At least 12, man, and then drop that shit down. All right. Strict. Good. 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 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you got a bitch. 16. If people are wondering who I'm calling bitch, it's definitely just myself. I am the demon I'm fighting. Come on. Drop set. Bring it together now. Focus on that contraction. Bring that out, super neat. Now they had those kilos on. And I literally talk to myself like this when I'm lifting too. Probably guys already know that. But
still, they were defended by some.
all right. Come on now. That is the completion of my back day, and now I get to enjoy the result of it, I guess, if any. Hopefully we can still retain that pump while we